everybody, it's the last Robokai here, and welcome to episode 10 of Let's Play Dawn of War. Last time, we sorta dealt with Lord Bale. Unfortunately, Lord Bale wasn't the major problem we had to deal with now, because Sindri has corrupted our lovely librarian Isador, and now he is the one holding the maledictum right now. And I think it's fairly safe to say he ain't coming back from that, and I don't think Gabe's gonna let him come back from that. So we're gonna have to go in and take care of the traitor, and then move on to see what Sindri is up to. And joining me on this trip of purging evil and heresy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is definitely a purge. Like Road to Redemption is paved in exactly one skull in Warhammer 40k. It's your skull, and this isn't like that one episode of Gargoyles where you can be like, I'll keep this as a souvenir. It's not many people that can reclaim their skull after they've lost it. No. You just lose your skull. It's done. So with those like freaking deep ass cuts, let's go ahead and watch somebody get cut up with a chainsword.
I first met the librarian Isador Achios when I was still a battle brother with no men at my command. Over 30 years in service, and I had not even attained veteran status. I had seen the power of the librarians and their neophytes, but none who wielded the kind of raw power, ability, and will that Isador possessed. In battle, I discovered that these traits were matched only by his knowledge and wisdom. He was truly a great man. He will be missed. Now I go to destroy the traitorous individual who inhabits Isador's form. Emperor, give me strength.
I love the way he spits out the word individual.
What news, Sergeant? The Chaos Marines retreated to this city and entrenched themselves. Whatever is to happen, will happen here. And the good captain? I would call him starved for vengeance. But my words are inadequate to encompass his fury.
Make ready. We have wasted enough time and suffered for it.
Agreed. But we know nothing of our enemy or his intentions. Bale was someone's pawn. Sindri, he called him.
Sindri is not my concern. Isador is. He has fallen, and he will find me at his doorstep.
Now you know the full weight of my original concerns. I must admit, I was surprised that it was Isador who succumbed.
I know. You suspected me.
It takes either steel or rot to willingly condemn your own world, your very family, to the torch. I sensed the seed of chaos in your midst, and you seemed too eager to uncover this planet's secrets. But I was so certain the taint stemmed from you that I failed to notice its true source in Isador. I was wrong, Captain.
We will discuss the matter another time, Inquisitor. For now, we have an enemy who demands our ministrations.
You allowed me to take the stone. You were true to your word, and for that you are a fool. Better I keep the maledictum with me. You are too weak to stomach its gifts. And now, I will use its power to destroy you.
Lord Bale was likewise foolish in believing me defenseless, believing himself in control.
Make it stop!
The orcs thought more of their abilities than they did of me, but I relied on their arrogance at my benefit alone.
Please!
You, however, you hold promise. And for that, I should let you die before you prove too great a threat. But I have invested too much effort into you. And you a century to prepare, it would still be too late to stop me from achieving my glory. Now I must prepare. Attend to the captain's demise, if you are capable.
What makes you think that I will do your bidding?
You have little choice. Your captain is quite tenacious. You more than anyone know that. You will have to deal with him, and that benefits me. Oh, and thank you for delivering the maledictum.
You cannot abandon me now?
Oh, but I can, and I do. At least I leave you in good company. Now, prove yourself worthy. Go, spill the blood of those who were your brothers. Spill the blood. Blood for the blood god.
Stakes have been raised just a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that in that cutscene. Not the least of which was an Inquisitor apologizing. Mark this day on the calendar, friends, because you are never seeing that event come again.
Well, did he really apologize, or did he just say I was wrong? Because that just kind of seems like that kind of.
Okay,
like,
better way
close
of
enough.
Yeah, better way of me phrasing that. An Inquisitor admitted fault.
Yeah, a red letter day. And speaking of red, yes, that was the greater demon of Khorne, the bloodthirster that was summoned right there and then. I know a lot of people might be of the mind that it seems a little strange that he would answer the call of a sorcerer, as Khorne is notorious for his dislike of sorcerers and magic, because it is the antithesis of getting stuck in and beating the shit out of somebody. But at the same time, you can still, appeal to the whole, there's going to be a really cool big fight where people are going to be fighting other people. In this case, brother is going to be fighting brother. And as a result, if you happen to be strong enough and gifted enough, like Sindri appears to be so, you can still suck them into reality to do their thing. Just, don't be standing around, because they may take a swing at you.
They're definitely going to take a swing at you eventually. It's just a matter of not being there when they decide they've had enough. When they've had enough time without cutting something in half. The maledictum itself also is part of that entire equation. And it's important to note that the entire story of the maledictum will not be told in this campaign. The story of the maledictum continues in Dawn of War 2, which obviously we've already let's played, but I don't know. In the interest of the entire mystery, I think we'll refrain from doing too many spoilers right now.
Yeah. Yes, but there is a lot more to do, and we are going to be getting assaulted quite frequently by the forces of chaos. And as we start to move out, we are going to get attacked by that big old bloodthirster, because it is similar to the Avatar. It is the relic unit of the Chaos Space Marine forces, and it functions pretty similar. It is a greater demon, so it is a very much a super heavy monster. It has the drawback of losing health when it's not in combat, I believe. When it is in combat, it has a regeneration, but obviously it's taking damage the whole time. So it's kind of like you might just say it dies less when it's in combat than it does when it's out of combat.
Yeah, like if you somehow manage to feed it gimme fights, it'll hang around for longer. But in general, the way that you're expected to use bloodthirsters, at least in this version of Dawn of War, is to either summon them directly before a big fight or summon them in the middle of a big fight. Like it is entirely possible to set it up such that everybody's getting stuck in, and then once the battle lines have been drawn, you can say, okay, now a bloodthirster exists in the middle, and just make everybody go, oh, damn it!
Because that is the big distinction of the bloodthirster. It requires it to be summoned, and in order to do that, you have to choose a champion. So you can pick a champion from like a cultist squad, or of a raptor squad, or a regular Space Marine squad. And when you click that button, they start doing that summoning sequence we saw, which is basically a big indicator for everyone to get fucking ready because things are about to get bloody. There's going to be a blood explosion.
There was definitely a time playing multiplayer with one of my roommates from college. We were just chilling out, doing some like computer stomp thing, and we were both drunk, so we were not playing well. The game went on altogether too long, and it got to the point where the AI was teetering over, and it was just constantly sending dudes at you, right? So it's this huge pitched battle. And one of them was chaos, and just like I saw one of the champions start levitating, and I just started screaming "Bloodthirster" over the apartment. It was one of the stupidest freaking things I've ever done playing a game, and I loved it.
Yeah, I can't say I ever got good use out of either of the big super like relic units of the Eldar or the Chaos Space Marines myself. I always feel like I got more out of the Squigger than the Land Raider. I like things that stick around and like also transport units more than like it just feels like they get kited a little too easily sometimes. But if you're up against someone who has like half a brain for macro.
I mean, like since they're demons, they also have hard counters in a number of armies. Like both the Eldar and the Space Marines have pretty hard counters to demons. Like if the Force Commander isn't going to be able to solo a Bloodthirster by any stretch of the imagination, but if you get a Force Commander in there, he's going to start doing a hell of a lot of damage, and it'll be a very good economical conflict, because replacing the Force Commander is just, it's not that expensive compared to summoning a Bloodthirster.
Absolutely correct, and it's going. Oh man, it is just. It's just kind of wild, like just how impressive it looks though. Like I think the Bloodthirster is really what made people like absolutely fall in love with the sync kills in this game, and it seems so apart because he just picks up enemies and shakes them and squeezes them, and blood comes pouring out, and they drink it, and it just looks so amazing. And then you've got the animation that plays if the Force Commander manages to kill the Bloodthirster, which is
he goes full Monster Hunter on that bad boy.
And of course we've even if we don't see it now, they do play the animation in Winter Assault with the unit added there, which has the same animations as the Force Commander. So we'll be able to see it there. Unfortunately, I don't pull it off this time in
It's all good. We will definitely see it, as you said.
I wanted to do it so badly. Oh well.
So freaking good. Like it's so incredible to watch.
It's just a thing that is just so good, and this is actually like a really nice sort of map for it too. I for some reason remember fighting the Bloodthirster in the pretty much the bottom corner of the map there when I first played this game. I think he just when you start pushing out is when he starts sort of moving in on you. Like once you sort of get beyond this sort of little triangle we've made here with the relic point and the other things, he's gonna start appearing. And so I think the first time I did it, I was like, I'm just gonna sneak down the bottom here, and he came out, and my response was, oh god! Like I kind of knew it was coming, but at the same time, oh dear, that is a problem. A scary
coming
problem.
at it from that angle was not exactly the idea. So we should talk a little bit about the way that Sindri went about all of this. It seems rather convoluted, doesn't it?
It is probably just one of those things that just makes you go. He really just took the roundabout way of doing it, but at the same time, it paid off. he managed to manipulate everybody into getting into conflict with one another, to the point that he was able to just take it out from under their noses. He was able to manipulate, he was able to manipulate Isador to grab the item in the confusion, so that he didn't have to be there and in danger. Because if they'd seen him there, they'd have just opened fire on him. But there was enough confusion from when Isador's grabbed it to get away and get to where Sindri was. So he's honestly done a pretty good job at up to this point of just putting everybody in the exact correct place. Even by keeping the forces of chaos on the down low, in spite of Bale's own insistence they do otherwise, he's managed to ensure that the Eldar and the Blood Ravens were fighting each other, rather than going, oh god, there's a large open chaos force, let's fight.
Oh, go ahead, finish.
I really appreciate that. Like, he is probably the most Alpha Legion motherfucker in the building that we'll see in a Dawn of War game.
He absolutely is, and like the thing that I have to appreciate is that there is actually subtlety in the way that he's written and the way that he's pulling this off, because like it was all the way back in the chapel that he gave us the biggest clue to his overall plan. Everybody remember he was going on and on about how power demands sacrifice, and in the context of the artifact that he's working with. It's pretty clear that the artifact likes violence, and he was just invoking Khorne. So, perhaps, just perhaps, all of the like this apparently needlessly convoluted stuff was in fact the entire part of the exercise.
There it is.
That's the Bloodthirster.
He is not in a good place. He is obviously fighting Gabriel. He is also fighting the Inquisitor Toth. And he's getting railed from literally every direction, and that's the Bloodthirster. We will not be seeing him the rest of the stage. He does not respawn.
Alright, later.
I beat him. I beat him with just like a small force of Space Marines.
I mean, this is like this is why I said you summon this thing after the battle is joined. Like, just because you have a super heavy relic unit doesn't mean it can just go slap its balls on the table and expect it to work.
Yeah, what do you think that is? A Land Raider?
I mean, you didn't even send in a Land Raider. You sent in 4 Land Raiders. That was 4 freaking Bloodthirsters. I feel like the conversation would have been a little different there.
Yeah, actually, if it was 4 Bloodthirsters, I wouldn't have stood a chance. But it's like...
Like, I'm just pointing out that there is a slightly different context here. By which I mean it's an entirely different context.
Yes.
The Bloodthirster needs support, and it needs the hard counters like the Force Commander. You don't get an Inquisitor, so you don't get somebody like Toth in multiplayer. But like those cats need to be distracted. Hard stop.
Yeah.
Okay. You do you, buddy.
That's just rude, that is. Extremely effective, but incredibly rude. Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
I think it has something to do with
I have the answer to that problem, yeah.
Yeah, screw you, it's Dreadnought time.
Yeah.
Dreadnoughts answer a surprising number of problems.
Yeah, like I said, hardest working unit in the entire game, as far as I'm concerned.
It seriously is.
So good, yeah, like, no dude, just leave. Ah, what are they bringing in
today?
An Obliterator.
An Obliterator. Here I was thinking it was going to end up being a bunch of pink horrors.
Yeah, no, they're already at the deployment phase of their late game anti-tank unit, which is
actually
scary.
taking a pretty big piece out of the
Yes.
out of the listening post, so it's good you got reinforcements heading on over there. But
As we talked about it, these things are just gonna switch to whatever will do the most damage, and yeah, they can take a bit of damage too.
this will keep happening. Traitor, Isador, enemy. Yeah, like it's the. We should probably talk about a little bit about why specifically it was Isador as well. I think we've talked a little bit about how psychic powers are all derived from the warp, which is where the chaos gods live. So Space Marine librarians are seen with suspicion in a lot of chapters. The Blood Ravens are a notable anti-example to that. They have a unusually large number of librarians in their midst because of their focus on combat intelligence and knowledge is power and all of that. But there are certain chapters like the Black Templars who make as little use of psychers as possible. Like, you need to do it to some extent because faster than light travel requires psychic powers. But like they want to do it as little as possible. Like they have absolutely no interest, and even a lot of other chapters will employ a normal number of librarians, but watch them with just incredible suspicion. Even outside of Space Marine chapters, in Imperial Guard regiments and so forth, they have psychers that are sanctioned to be psychic and not, basically be witch hunted out of existence. Typically, part of becoming a sanctioned psyker involves an incredibly painful surgery to basically inhibit your connection to the warp to keep you from going insane. And then a lot of them also assign either a quote unquote bodyguard to the sanctioned psyker, or they simply also include a cortex bomb. And just in case it isn't completely obvious, the bodyguard for the psyker is not really there to keep the psyker safe. If the psyker suddenly starts going all chaosy or going demon host, the bodyguard is there to murder the psyker before the infestation can be complete.
He is the D. Gribbly protocol.
Yeah, it's just like it is something that's just drilled into them. You see this specific thing start happening, like light coming out of their eyes, spitting out of their mouth, inhuman screaming. You don't hesitate. You do not hesitate for a fucking nanosecond. You blast him in the head, and if you can't blast him in the head, you stab him in the eye.
There's a beautiful
stop.
fan animation and I say fan animation, it's probably like one of the best technical fan works I've ever seen for anything ever, known as Astartes. I imagine most Warhammer 40k fans have already watched it probably 1 million times. And there's a sequence in it where a psyker starts that's on board a ship with a Space Marine chapter starts to freak out. And the absolute second it happens, without even flinching, the two Space Marines in the room with him smash his skull open and then gun him down on the floor. Like, it happens in like seconds. There is like no wasted movement whatsoever. They don't go, "Oh man, are you okay?" No, they just go down, bang, 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 bang. They do not wait. I love it. It's like one of my favorite.
Yeah, like there's
sequences.
Zero hesitation. Like he said, zero hesitation, zero wasted motion. Like, I'd have to go back and look at it, but the sequence that he's referring to, I'm pretty sure the entire thing is over in less than 2 seconds. They just clothesline the poor bastard, and then just the bolters come out and tear him to shreds.
So good. Yeah. So getting into things like psychic powers and everything like that. Like, it isn't an exclusive purview of Space Marine librarians to fall to chaos, however. One of the big problems with chaos is it operates. It basically operates on titillating and enticing people. And Space Marines, for all of their mental programming that they go through, if they aren't properly monitored by their chaplains and the like, it is entirely possible for them, cut off from their others or engaged in war for far too long, to just start getting errant thoughts. And these errant thoughts, if played to by somebody else, can cause them to go, well, why am I like doing all of this all the time, and then all I do is just go back and like wait for the next battlefield to die in? Where is my glory? Why am I here in this shitty fight? You know, basically a whole lot of me, and without someone like, say, a chaplain there to say, like, put a hand on their shoulder and say, hey, come on, dude, you know what this is about. You know, and just generally remind them of the importance of what they're doing. They might just, you know, decide to go off on their own, or in some cases, if they're, in the case of Khorne of the Astral Claws, they might just go, fuck you guys, I'm in it for myself. And this is one of the things we talked about, the legions, the Horus Heresy legions, but there are still plenty of Space Marine chapters in their entirety that have fallen to chaos long after this has happened, and they're typically called renegades. They're typically referred to. Oh my god, they're really pouring it on.
Yeah, they are committing to the center. Holy Mother of Christ!
Yeah, we're gonna have to get in there and do something about this, but. There are a lot of different renegade chapters, and their reasons for falling are many and varied. And it does take a fair amount to be declared traitorous extremists as a Space Marine chapter and get destroyed, because a Space Marine chapter might often be fighting on places where word doesn't get out about how they're behaving. Or, you know, and it may not even be initially something that's their fault. They might fall afoul of an Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor makes up some bullshit and declares them traitorous extremists, and there's not much they can do about it, and they get cut off from the Imperial supply chain. Because Space Marine chapters are very reliant on Mars, for example, for a lot of the tools that they need. Their power armor, their guns, and everything like that. So they're still beholden, in a way, to the Imperial supply chain. But if they're basically declared traitors and cut off, and they're going to have to start trying to survive on their own, foraging on their own, and that's where the problems come in for them. And after a while, like, falling to chaos seems almost like basically a done deal, because they will probably have to start resorting to, you know, if they don't hand themselves over to be executed, that is, then they'll likely have to start raiding Imperial worlds, raiding Forge worlds, piracy, things like that, or even just becoming part of a greater war band, such as the Crimson Reavers, which I believe is the name of the group that formed out of the Astral Claws after the Tabletop conflict. And of course, Khorne has come. You know, he's Khorne Blackheart now. He's still alive. He's mostly still alive, I should say. He did take a melter gun to like half his body in the closing stages of the siege of his chapter monastery fortress at the end there of the Tabletop conflict.
That definitely left a mark on him. Like, he's still around. I think he ended up getting extensive cybernetics and is still technically functional. Okay.
Yes, he also has a weird psychic kitty cat that follows him around. It's a little odd.
Oh my god, I forgot about that freaking thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, the Eldar have a similar sort of thing, but his is different. His is like a weird warp creature. No one's really quite sure what the fuck is up with that thing, but he's got one. Like, I don't know, man. I don't even know how he pads it. One of his arms is literally a flamethrower now.
He just uses the other hand, okay? Like, Mega Man somehow solved this with Rush.
He's like... honestly, now that I think about it, he's a lot like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget in that regard. You know, like he's like sitting there in the Maelstrom now, and one of his raids gets foiled by the Star Phantoms that now own his planet, and he's like, "I'll get you next time, Star Phantoms. Next time." Slams his giant gauntlet fist on the table, and his little alien cat thing just goes.
The Emperor
Oh god.
Oh god.
The Dr.
Oh
Claw
god.
The Dr. Claw voice fucks me up a
The
little.
enemy must be nearby.
I was also just reacting to those two Marines with freaking rocket launchers, just sort of waving the rocket launchers at each other's faces. It's like a Rochambeau contest with high explosives.
What are your needs?
Well, nobody shouts clear in the Space Marines.
You're in the way. That's your fault.
I can only imagine the backblast would be pretty crazy too.
I would imagine so. But yeah, so like as everything else, the entire designation of traitorous extremist is just as political as it is real.
I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I did not tell him to go that way.
They just sort of saw that dude die, and they were just like,
Shot the medic.
But the interesting thing about it is that a lot of the ways that entire Space Marine chapters do fall is that their leadership gets corrupted, which was fundamentally what happened in the Horus Heresy as well. In that there were these legions of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Marines, and these Marines, to a man, weren't all just wake up one day and be like, yeah, chaos is freaking great. We're all gonna go worship fucked up Cthulhu deities and murder the guy that we're supposed to be serving. They didn't do that to a man. Like they had a Primarch that they looked to as a father figure. That ended up just not jiving with the Emperor for whatever reason. The Thousand Sons are a perfect example in that, you know, their Primarch Magnus the Red had always been a little bit of a, pardon the pun, red-headed stepchild, because he was a very powerful psyker, and psychic powers were considered just as suspicious in the old Imperium as they are like today, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium and all like that. And the individual Marines could probably just as easily have been apportioned into a different legion if they had all had personal choice. But when Magnus the Red basically got to the point where he was just like, no, I need to break from this. I need to go my own way for honestly very understandable reasons. In his case, he ended up bringing his entire legion with him, and that became part of the entire justification for having a hard limit of 1,000 Marines on a chapter that came from the Codex Astartes, because like Gulliman said specifically, like, this entire thing where one person co-ops literally half of the armed forces of the Imperium can never happen again. We need to have a more decentralized leadership structure to make this happen. Which, yes, okay, you definitely managed to solve that particular problem, but he in doing so, he also made individual chapters much weaker, and made it much more difficult for the Imperium to coordinate on any truly difficult problem, which directly influences the Imperium's current state of, you know, hey, we're totally united and one under the Emperor, except not really, because there's a whole bunch of political bullshit going on at every conceivable level. Just because we're a weird fascist government doesn't mean that we're free of all of this nonsense. Far from it, as a matter of fact. It's even worse.
So something I feel I should note here. The Predators here, you see, toting las cannons. I said erroneously in a previous episode that they didn't get las cannon upgrades. That's not true. They get them in the original release of Dawn of War, but then like Winter Assault changes it so that they get a generalized upgrade so that they have like anti-tank capacities on their autocannons. It's just something I feel like I probably needed to point out there. Man, and they did quite a number on my Land Raider babies. That's really rough.
I mean, like I said, you send those things in unsupported, things can get kind of bad for them pretty quick.
Build routine 721.
I feel betrayed by the game for not letting me roll over everything with just masses of tanks. But there are a few like famous examples of different chapters that have gone renegade for different reasons. the Knights of Blood are an interesting one because they went renegade but didn't fall to chaos. And they only went renegade essentially because they were declared, you know, like traitors, extremists. They were essentially declared these guys are too fucked up for the Imperial command chain. They were, surprise, surprise, a Blood Angel successor chapter that really engaged in the blood murder kill a little bit too much, and when like in the wake of, you know, Cadia being destroyed and everything going crazy, the Tyranid Hive fleet of Leviathan decided, yeah, we're gonna go eat this place over here, which was the regions, you know, basically around the Baal system, the Blood Angels home system, their you know, recruiting worlds, their home worlds, and in spite of the fact that they actually got Necron assistance to try and deal with the Tyranids, it was still pretty dicey. And it certainly didn't help that even though like one of their ancient oldest enemies, a bloodthirster named Kidbanba or whatever.
Don't try to pronounce this garbage.
He's basically been fighting like the Blood Angels since Sanguinius was just like before like everything sort of really kicked off. Or basically they've been like putting each other over one another's knee and breaking their spines for a while. So he was like, no, you can't do that. I'm going to do it, and like try to manifest on the Blood Angels' homeworld to try and like kill them before they could be like, you know, eaten, which sort of, you know, muddied the waters further. But the Knights of Blood had been like, when the Knights of Blood heard, oh fuck, the Blood Angels are in trouble, they turned up. They kept away from the rest of the other chapters because they basically said, look, okay, the Imperium has told us that we're no good for it. We're going to keep fighting for them anyway until we're spent. And in the end, the Knights of Blood sacrificed themselves to buy the rest of the Blood Angels, like in their successor chapters, time to get off one world, which was, I think, going to either be destroyed or hit with Exterminatus or whatever, while the Tyranids were on it. So it's one of those sort of interesting things. But then there's examples like the Sons of Malice.
Right.
The Sons of Malice are a funny old traitor chapter. I'm quite fond of their story. They're a subtle reference to one of the minor Chaos Gods you don't really see overtly referenced too often in Games Workshop anymore, because largely, and I say almost entirely because these particular gods were created by a writer who then held copyright on them, and so in order, like, you know, if they basically wanted to use them, Games Workshop would be having to like give money to this guy. It's one of the many reasons why like Games Workshop's quite stiff on their trademarks and things like that, because they just got burned quite a lot. Well, this is one of the examples. And Malal is the god of chaos destroying chaos, and this is where the Sons of Malice come in, obviously because it sounds like Malal, but also because they have a fondness for fighting and destroying chaos forces before they fight, you know, regular Space Marine forces and things like that. Of course, that said, the whole reason they were declared traitors extremists is because they'd been operating outside of, you know, the general Imperial watch for a little bit, and the world that they recruited on had a lot of really weird sort of blood rituals and things like that that didn't really become apparent until later. And one particular Inquisitor, she kind of discovered this and was like, okay, this is bad. And so she and her entourage took off to find where the Sons of Malice were at the time, and I believe they had just conquered a planet that was like where the people who lived mostly in undersea bases, and so she's gone down there to catch them in the act and of their weirdo, horrible, you know, rituals, and unfortunately they took her. They basically killed her entourage, took her over to a sacrificial altar, ripped out her still beating heart, and like waved it around and ate it, and all sorts of other really horrific things, proving that she was correct, but at a cost. If you're going to be going in on a Space Marine chapter like that, I highly recommend bringing 2 Space Marine chapters. Is all I'm gonna say. And after that, you know, she got, like, you know, she was killed. So, like, an Inquisitor being killed by a Space Marine chapter is one of the most aberrant things that can happen. And so they took off to the Eye of Terror and have been a scourge on literally everybody who's ever gone near them since.
Yes, Lord.
And that's the Sons of Malice. They certainly went out of the Imperium with a bang.
And if anybody at this point is wondering if there's any kind of story that hasn't been told, like with all of these weird odds and ends that we're able to pull from with these like podcasty kind of episodes, the basic answer is there's always more stories to tell. But remember that these stories have been getting told for like. How many decades has it been at this point, dude? Like 4? Mm-hmm. Like, it's been a very, very long time. Might even be like 4 or 5, something like that. It's important to remember that one of the official stances of Games Workshop with regard to, for example, players like incepting their own chapter and painting it with their own heraldry so they can use it in tabletop and so on and so forth. Their official stance is shrug. The galaxy's big enough that they probably exist somewhere. So, like, yeah, your custom painted chapter is canon. Like, it's just canon.
Yeah, we killed Isador.
Isador just friggin' dies off camera.
I mean, he only had a librarian's health bar, so.
Oh man,
I thought he was up in the
deserves.
top middle. So, but it turns out his base is tucked over in the corner here, and I accidentally did the whole thing.
Oops.
Well, I mean, it's not so much an oops. He had it coming. We were gonna find him and kill him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get much of a show, but traitors don't deserve wonderful final acts. It just encourages more of them.
Yeah. We actually kind of like the way I see it. A lot of people really get caught up on the concept of canon in like things like this, and I feel like that's a mistake to make. You really should think of it more in terms of things like Dungeons and Dragons, where you're telling a story with the things that you make and the ideas and the characters, and you're just using what has been produced by Wizards of the Coast as a template. But your game master is fully free to make changes as they think is necessary in order to give you a good time. And for that same reason, Games Workshop has given you a world to play in, and you will play against, if you're playing this game, or rather I should playing the tabletop, you're going to be playing against other people. So you're going to be constructing your own narratives and rivalries from playing with other people within your hobby. And as far as I'm concerned, like, that's... canon is a relevant topic. What you do and the stories that you make that you can then share with your friends is what you should be enjoying. Like, the lore and everything else is really cool and all, but the best stories are the ones you make for yourself. Like, one of my favorite moments playing on the tabletop was just as a very, very young me, just first getting into it. And the Chaos Space Marines Codex for like I think it was 3rd edition had just been rolled out. It's in 2nd edition or 3rd edition, might have been 2nd edition. And this was when Abaddon the Despoiler, Fabius Bile, Khorne the Betrayer, Ahriman, all these characters really first came to light. Like, they were getting models and rules, and they were these big, larger-than-life figures. So I went to an event where they had a giant... They basically put 3 tables together, and they had a combined force of Space Marines, Imperial Guard, and Eldar against just this giant Chaos Space Marine war force made up of like different sections of the different Traitor chapters and their different special characters leading them and everything like that. And I was off in this corner with like, they basically said, okay, dude, here's what you're going to be playing with. And I had one Farseer, a squad of like, I think it was just a Guardian squad, and a Viper jet bike. And I had to hold the line against Khorne the Betrayer and about 20 goddamn berserkers and a Chaos Lord on a Juggernaut.
Good luck!
And you know what? I killed Khorne the Betrayer, I blasted the berserkers onto their ass so they couldn't do anything, and my Farseer reached over with his psychic powers and stripped every single spell that Ahriman knew from his skull, so that he became a glorified combat unit.
Oh, fucking beautiful.
Because Eldar fucking Farseers ain't nothing to fuck with, ladies and gentlemen.
Can't argue with that as much as I hate it. Can't argue with it.
Let's just say they weren't ready for what I was bringing, and sadly I had to go home before I saw the end of the fight. But I literally ruined like 2 other kids' day because they had the best, shiniest, coolest toys, and I basically just like made it so they weren't going to be doing anything for a large number of turns. It was, but it's stories like that stick with you. You know, there's never going to be a recording where some generic Farseer beat the piss out of, like, 2 of, like, the biggest named fucking characters in, like, in Warhammer 40,000. Because, obviously, that's never going to happen. But out there somewhere is a reality a young child made where he did just that. Because Imperial Commanders pulled out the list of the psychic cards that you would draw for every round, and they saw power overwhelming, which basically makes it so that everything you cast does it at its maximum proficiency, ignores all immunity to like psychic powers and everything, and just basically just fucks up everything to the maximum. And they just they leaned over to me and gave me that card and said, "Kill them."
Do it. And by the way, just in case we've got a StarCraft fan hanging out here. Yes, that's where the cheat code came from. That's where the cheat code came from. Is that card on the Warhammer tabletop? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the God mode cheat in StarCraft 1 was power overwhelming.
We're almost to the end, I think, now. It's been another fun. Oh no, actually, we've still got quite a bit. I'm still sort of like cleaning out for another minute.
Yeah, this is the de-escalation portion where there's just a couple of nerds who are waiting to die. It's not an organized force anymore. It's just cleanup. What was I thinking? Ah, yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. By the way, one thing that has always been important to people as a whole is stories, right? And it's a critical part of how we as humans relate to one another and work with one another and remember one another. And you know, in that way, I've never liked the idea of anything that could get in the way of a good story. So it's just like, if canon helps, then please use canon. If it doesn't, throw it out the friggin' window.
You are a fool, Gabriel. You know you are no match for me.
Of all my brothers, why you? You were stronger than this.
I am stronger than you ever imagined. I can feel the universe tremble at my approach. Even the gods know my name.
No one will remember you, traitor. I will see to that.
Pathetic. You were great once, before doubt addled your will. Before you rendered judgment on Cyrene, before you murdered the innocent and guilty, all in one stroke. You weak, sorry fool! How does it feel to have slain millions? To have betrayed your own family?
I betrayed no one. Innocents die so that humanity may live. I ended their suffering, as I will end yours.
Die!
You have beaten me. I cannot believe it. I was wrong, Gabriel. So wrong. I thought I was strong. Strong enough to control it. I wanted to use the power for good, for the Imperium. You must see that. You must give me the chance to make amends, to seek redemption.
If redemption is what you seek, then that is what I will give you. This is the fate of traitors. Remember this, and do not stray. If you do, I will be ready to render you the same service.
Can I just say, I know a lot of people are going to mention in the comments, yeah, Gabriel, the upgrade system kind of bugs Gabriel a little bit, so he keeps switching between the plasma pistol and the bolt pistol from.
It's fine. It's like this is the way it's his specific traitor shooting gun. You know, like there you go. Just pop pop pop, watching traitor bitches drop. There you go. Like it's an important part of the ritual. That's your new canon. Like it doesn't get in the way of the story.
And that's the Emperor's redemption right there. You a shot in the head, and you can try again if your soul is not devoured by the dark gods or whatever. And maybe in your next life, the Emperor will look down upon you and say, "Nice work, buddy." But for now, you fucking dead.
Dead.
That is the end of Isador Achios. But not the end of Dawn of War, because Sindri is still out there. He's got the Maledictum, and he's got a plan. That warp storm is bearing down fast, and it threatens to trap everyone there. And we're talking about a demon who can drive people insane and then bend them to its will with the power of its mind. Not a very good combo of things to have, and definitely not a good planet to be trapped on. And as such, the Blood Ravens will have to act quickly to destroy their enemy, and that is next time. I've been the Last Robokai.
And I have been Cool Guy.
We'll see you all in the final episode of Dawn of War.